Hi everyone and welcome back to the Java class. In today's session, we will learn how to write a Java program to manage a student grade. So in order to manage a student grade, you will create a file named grade.txt file where each line contains a student name and their score separated by a comma. So this file contains a data of a student in the form of a CSV format. For example, the name of a student, comma, score of a student. In order to manage this grade book of a student, you need to perform the following task. Task 1 is you will read a file and calculate the average score of a student. Task 2, you will identify the student with highest and the lowest score. Task number 3, you will create a new file that is a grade underscore summary.txt file that includes the summary of a grade.txt file. So summary contains the point number 1, the total number of student and the average score. Then point number 2, the name and score of a student with the highest and the lowest score. Point number 3, that you will write in a summary file that is a list of students who scored above the average along with their scores. So in order to perform these tasks, you must be proficient in the following skills. You must know about it, how to create classes and how to apply encapsulation in it. How to perform the file handling means how to perform reading and writing operations along with the exception handling part. You must know about it little bit, the strings manipulations functions, and you must know how to use a collection framework, how to create a list of student and how to store your students data in a data structure called a list. So let us move to the Eclipse and understand how to solve this problem statement. Let us move to the Eclipse and create different classes in order to perform all the tasks. Okay, so this is your Eclipse ID. Let us create a new project. Go to new and Java project. Your project name is Student Gradebook Management. Go to next and finish it. So this project is created. Inside it, you will create the different classes in order to solve our problem statement. So first class, we will create a student. So this class will present inside a package like a student gradebook management SGM project. Full package we have created. SGM package contains a student class and finish it. Let us create one more class. So the second class name is gradebook manager. Gradebook manager. So this is your main class. So let us complete the definition of all the classes. So this is a student class that contains the details of a student. So as per our problem statement, your file will contain the student information and only two information we required, the name of a student and a score of a student. So here I will write private and the score of a student. So in order to set these attributes, you will add a constructors and getters and setters method. So go to the source, generate constructor using field and generate. This is a constructor that will help us to set the details of a student. Now you will add the getters methods because this data is private and you will not be able to directly read. So you need to just generate public getters method, that is a read property, right? So these are the public methods. Let us generate it. So this is a getter method and let us add one more method that is a toString function that will display the details of a student. So guys, this is a student class. So we can add students with the following details like a name and a score of a student. Let us move to the gradebook manager.java. Inside it, we need to first, just create a file that contains some data. So in order to create a file, let me just create a function, for example, private static. So I am creating a function. The function name is create sample grade file, right? So this is a function that help us to create a file and write data inside it. So this is a function private static. It's a function return type I will write. private static void create sample grade file. So how to just create a file and how to write the data inside it. So let us use a try with resource concept. Inside it, I will create an object of a buffered writer. BW is equal new buffered writer. Inside it, you will create an object of a file writer, new file writer. Or inside it, you will write the name of a file. Our file name is grades.txt file. So that is or that will contains a data of a student in a form of a CSV format. So this is an object of buffered writer. So let me just make it short, BW. Now you can call the function bw.write function in order to write some details of a student. So for example, I will write the detail of a student, the name of a student, comma, grades like 95. In the similar way, you can write the multiple grades of a student, or along with it, you will add a catch block, right? So here I will add a catch block. Now this try with resource is completed. Now you will write the data inside it. Okay. Or in order to write the data separated by a new line, you can just call a function new line, right? You will write the content and after every line, there will be a new line, right? This one. So now you can just change the names and grades and just write this data. Okay, so after this, you can display simple message, simple file grades.txt created successfully, right? So we are just displaying this message. So this is a function which help us to create a file that is a grades.txt file and write this following data in a file, right? So simple in the catch block, you can display some message, sys error, and you can display here error creating file, right? So this function is completed. Now we can call this function inside a main. So create a simple file, right? How to create a simple file? Simple, you can call this function create simple grade file. So let us run this program and let's see what is the output of it. So here we go. You can see this is output sample file grades.txt created, and you will refresh your project. And here you can see grades.txt file is created that contains the data of 7 student along with their name and a score. So task 1 is completed. So what was the task 1? You can see here that was the task number 1. Read the grades.txt file and calculate the average score of all the students. So let us complete the task number 1. Now we need to read the file and will calculate the average score of a student. So let us move back to the Eclipse and do the rest operations. Okay, so now let us create a list of student. So I will create a list of student here now. So students is equal new array list. So I'm using a new array list. So we have created a list of a student. So how to read a grades? Read grades from grades.txt file, right? So how to read grades from grades.txt file? So simple, you will use the buffered reader class. So now you will use a try with resource, and along with it, you will use a catch, right? So here you will use buffered reader. Buffered reader, this is One is the buffered reader, BR is equal new buffered reader, or inside it, you will create an object of a file reader, new file reader. And here you will write which file you would like to read. So which file you would like to read? We need to read a file that is a grades.txt file, right? We will read this file. So how will you read this file? Simple, you will write the name of a file here. Simple, you will write grades.txt file, right? Now you will read it. So here you will read this file line by line. So let us create a variable of a string type, that is a line here, right? Now you will use a while loop, right? So this is not with the iterator. I can use while with the enumeration, and not with the enumeration. Let me just do a small change, while with the condition here, right? So what is the condition here? So condition, you will write line is equal br dot read line, br dot read line. Okay, you will read till is not equal to null, right? So this loop will execute till your line will be not equal to learn. So let us create an array here, right? Array of string that will contains the different parts of a particular details of a student, right? So your line, right? Your line contains, so here this is a variable, that variable line that contains the detail of a complete student. And this line contains the details like a name of a student and a score of a student. So what will you do? You will just split this line, right? The name will be separated and your score will be separated. So how will you split? You will simply use a split function with a regular expression with a comma, because your data is presented in a comma separated value. So you can see here, this is your data. So this data is of a particular student. So this data will come in a variable line, right? So you will split this line with a comma operator, and this data will be present inside a variable that is a parts. So this is a string, that is array, right? The parts that contains the name and grade separately. So you can understand the size of this array is 2, right? So parts 0 contain name and parts 1 contain a score of a student, right? So here you can apply a condition if, or you can use if else statement. Inside a if, you will write if parts dot length is equal to. So definitely that array size is 2 if parts dot length is equal to. So you will just separate the name and score in different variable. So how to separate the name? So simply you will separate the name in a variable string name is equal parts 0 dot trim. You will trim means it will remove the white spaces if somewhere else some white spaces will be there, right? So after this, you will use a try and catch block, and you will just read the second part. So how will you read the second part? You will use not here. Here you will use int score is equal, that is parts 1 dot trim. In the similar way, you will just call this trim function, but it will return the string and you need to convert this part into integer. So how will you convert? integer dot parse int, and here we go. You can see this is a string part. So what we have done, inside a variable line, the data of each line will be stored. After this, what we are doing, we are creating an array of a string, and we are applying a split function. So means your line will be split if it will found a comma in a line, right? And store inside a string. So right now, the situation is we have like a parts 0 that contains the name of a student, and parts 1 contains the score of a student, right? And if parts dot length is equal to, so you will just trim that name and store in a variable name. In the similar way, that is a string format, you will convert it into integer and will store in a score variable. And if it will not be able to convert into integer, it will throw a number format exception, right? And here you will display a simple message system.error.println, right? You can just display unable to read, unable to convert, right? You can display some message like that. So this is a name is present inside a name variable, the score is present inside a score variable. So after getting or after separating the name and score perfectly, what will you do? You will add that data, that is a name and score, inside a student list. So how will you add? You will simply use a variable, this students dot add function you will use, right? Student dot add, or inside it you will call a constructor new student, the name and the score. So this is a way how can you separate the name and score of a student after reading the data from a file, and you will just add inside a list of a student. So this is a students list. You will add inside it, right? So here this was the if else. If the length is not equal to, there is some error, and you can display a message, right? Skipping, you will display some message here. Skipping. Okay, so this is, and after reading all the records, it will display a message successfully read how many records you have read from a particular file, right? So this is a code you can see here. This is, we are reading grades from a student from a grades.txt file, right? So this code we have completed now. So after reading, what will you do? After reading, what will you do? You will just process the data, right? You will just process the data and you will perform the rest operation. Okay, so this we have done. So what we have done so far, let us see as per our problem statement. We have created a grades.txt file that contains the data in this format. Now, what is the task number 1? We have read the grades.txt file and calculate the average score of all the students. So we have parsed the content and the details of a student. Now we need to calculate the average score of all the students. So let us move to the Eclipse, right? So let us move to the Eclipse, and after catch, let us process the data. So how to process the data? You will simply, for example, the total score is initially 0, right? Total score initially is 0. So now you need to find out the student that is or that having a lowest and the highest score, right? So let us create a student highest scorer, right? So who is the highest scorer? So let us get from a students list. Students dot get, for example, get 0, right? So the first student, we are just assuming the first student have the highest score and the first student has the lowest score. Here you can see. So this is lowest, right? So let us iterate over a list using a for loop. So iterate over a collection. So let us use a for loop. Iterate over an array of iterable. So this is a student. We need to perform or iterate over a student, and we need to find out the total score. Total score is equal total score plus students dot get score, right? Students dot get score. So we are calculating the total score because we need to calculate the average score of a student, right? So this is the total score we have calculated, right? And after this, you will just find out the average score. So you will define double average score is equal total score divide by the size of a list, students dot a size. And maybe it will display the data in the double, so we can just typecast in a double, right? So this is your average score. So this average score we have calculated as per our problem statement. So you can see what was the problem statement. You need to read a grades.txt file and calculate the average score of all the students. So average score we have calculated. Now the second task, you need to identify the student with the highest score and a student with the lowest score. So what we are doing, we are assuming the first student has the highest and the lowest score. So we need to just compare it, right? So how will you compare it? If students dot get score, not get name, get score. So you will check student dot get score is greater than highest score, right? So this is highest score. So I will just change it, not scorer. This is score. Make it meaningful, right? So if student dot get score is greater than highest score, this one dot get score, right? So what will you do? So in that highest score, you will put that student, right? Or in the similar way, you will use if student dot get score is less than the lowest score dot get score. So what will you do if this condition will be met? You will use the lowest score is equal that particular student. So here, this is or these are the two if conditions find out that will find out the highest and the lowest score, right? And this average score you will find out of this for loop, right? Out of this for loop you will do, right? So this we have done. So guys, how we are processing the data? You can see initially we are assuming your total score is 0. So here we are assuming the first student has the highest and the lowest score. So we are iterating over a list of a student, and here we have calculated the total score of all the students. Or here we are calculating the highest and the lowest score student, and this is a way how will you calculate the average score, right? So task number 1 and 2 we have completed. Understand? Now what is the task 3? Write a new file named or create a new file named grade underscore summary dot txt file, and you need to write this data: total number of student, name and score, and this one, right? So let us do the next task. So here, what is the next task? We need to write the summary. Write the summary, right? So in order to write the summary, you will just simply use a try and a catch. So inside a try and catch, so how will you write? Again, you will use a buffered writer class. Buffered writer BW is equal new buffered writer. Inside it, you will create an object of new file writer. So where you would like to write the data, that is a summary file. So what is the name of summary file? Let us see in this PPT. That is a grades underscore summary dot txt file. This is, you will write here, grades underscore summary dot txt file. We will write inside it, right? So I will write here bw dot write, or here you will write the student grade summary, right? Here you will write student grade summary. So inside this student grade summary, then you will do a new line, bw dot new line, right? So this is, you will put a new line. So total number of student you will display, bw dot write total number of student. So here you will write total students. So how many total students? So here you can see what is the task 3.1. So what is the task 3.1? The total number of student and average score, right? So total number of students you will write here. So how will you calculate the total number of students? Simply students, not string, students dot size you will write, right? Students dot size you will write. Then you will display the average score, bw dot write. Here you will write average score. In the similar way, you will define or the average score. So where is the average score? This is a variable, that is the average score, right? So here you will write average score. Okay. So average score we have written. Now you can put a new line for each operations, right? Average score we have done. Now you will display the highest score and the lowest score. So just you can do, or you can add a separator in order to make it in a best readable format. Highest score you will display. How will you display the highest score? So highest score we have calculated. So here simply you can display the name of a student. So highest score dot get name you can display. Okay. Or in the similar way, you can define the score also. Highest score you will display, or you will display the name of us. Highest score means first we are displaying the name of a student who has the highest score, then you will display the score of it. So how will you just display the score, right? So score you can write along with this. So I will write highest score dot get score, right? So what it does, it will display the highest score student name along with the score. In the similar way, I will just copy it and I will write. So here you will display the lowest score, right? Lowest score. So here little bit you will change lowest score dot get name, or here you will write the lowest score dot, not this one, lowest score dot get score, right? Let us see what is the next task. So name and score of the student with the highest score and lowest score we have done. The third is a list of students who scored above the average along with their score. So what is the next? So the student who scored above average, right? So here let us display that part also. Students who scored above average. So let us see who has scored above average. So, so students who scored above average, and what is the average score here? So I will display that also. So this is the average score, and we need to find out the student who are above average score, right? So again, you will use a for loop and you will iterate over a student list. Inside it, simply you will check if condition, if student dot get score, right? Student dot get score. If it is greater than average score, right? If it is greater than average score, so you will just display those students, or you will write those students. So you will write bw dot write function you will call, okay, bw dot write, and you will write those student name, right? So here you will write those students name. So here simply you will write student dot get name, okay, student dot get name along with the score, student dot get score, okay. So this you will write. I hope you are understanding, or simply you can add a new line, bw dot new line, right? So this we have done. Oh my God, little bit what we have done, we need to use bw dot write everywhere, right? No, not system dot out dot println. Okay, please do a small change. This one, okay. So here, just do a small change everywhere. Here, we are not using system dot out dot println. Please do small change, and for every line, you can add a new line. Okay, here we can add a new line. Okay, so this we have added, or after this for, you can simply write not, again I'm using system dot out dot println. We need to write bw dot write function. Or here you will write end of the summary file. Okay, so this video is a little bit long. Please try to understand the concept we are using, right? End of the summary file that we have done. And this is your catch. If there will be some error, you can display a print stack trace. So let us see the program is completed or not. Let me just do a revision from the beginning. So what we have done, guys, so it is not required. Iterator we are not using. So first we have created a function create sample file that will create a sample file simply. Then we are calling this function in order to create a sample file, that is a grades.txt file that we have done already. Now we are creating a list of a student. Now we are reading data from a grades.txt file. And in order to read the data from grades.txt file, you will use buffered reader class. So we are reading line by line. So each line will be stored in a variable of a string type, that is a line. Now you can use a regular expression or a method line.split that will split a line and store the name in parts 0 and score of a student in parts 1. And here you will just cleaning your string and will store in a variable name. And the score is, definitely it is a string array that is present in the form of a string, you need to convert it into integer to perform the operations and store in a variable score. So you got a name and score of a student. Now you will add both the details using a add function in a student list. If there will be some error, it will display a message skipping malformed line, means if not able to read it. And after this, it will display simple message, that is successfully read the data, right? So successfully we have just read the data. Okay. After this, we are just processing the data in order to calculate the average score. So this is a total score variable that we have done. This is, we are calculating the highest and lowest score by defining a variable. So this is the code for it. We are calculating the average score here, and rest. This is, here we are writing the summary of a grades.txt file. So student grade summary, total number of students, average score, highest score with the name and a score, lowest score with the name and score, the student who scored above average, this is the average marks, and here you will just write the data, and this is end of the file. So this is, and the first class was the student. So that part we have done. So let us run this program and let's see what is the output of it. So let us run and let's see what is the output of it. It is showing sample file grades.txt file created, successfully read 7 student records. Let us refresh it and let's see the thing has done or not. So yes, wow, great. Grade underscore summary.txt file is created. But you can see inside it, this is the summary of this file, right? So total students are 7. This is the average score. Highest score is 95. Name is Amit. You can see in the grade.txt file, this one. And who is the lowest? That is a Charlie, 65. You can see here, this is a Charlie that has a lowest score. And let's see, student who scored above average. So that was the average. And who's the student who scored above average? That is Amit, Bob, and Ram. You can cross verify here. Amit, Bob, and Ram, right? And after this, it is showing end of the summary file. That's it. So guys, this is a way how can you manage or create a grade book of a student. So I hope you understand it. So simple, this is very easy, and this is a way how to perform a reading and writing operation. So guys, I hope you understand it. So please do a practice of it. This is very, very important. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.